Hello, team. Welcome to our weekly team member spotlight. We have a very, very special featured team member this week. The one, the only, our VP of Marketing, Corie Meredith. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. So, Corie, there's so much that we have to dig into here. We only have 29 minutes, but let's start with, you graduated from college with a journalism major.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about that story, but that was a funny story in itself.
Yeah, it seriously is. So, a fun fact about me, I did not go to school for marketing. I've said that on a podcast before with Karin a little bit ago, but yeah, you're right. I went to school for mass media communications all of my life. I wanted to be a news reporter. So, actually, when I was very, very little, my aspiration was to be like Ellen DeGeneres. I wanted to have my own talk show. And my mom coined it and she named it "My Mouth is Bigger Than My Body." Because if you guys have ever met me in person, I'm 5'1", and it's usually a pretty stark reaction when people meet me for the first time because I'm so loud and pretty present, like on social media and things of that nature. And then they see me in person and I'm like, whoop. So I like to talk, obviously. And I always just thought that this stuff was really fun. So I was like, I should be a talk show host. And then as I got older, I was like, okay, well, maybe that's a little, stretch of the imagination there. And so I dialed it in until I got to a news reporter. So sports was really up my alley. Women in sports was a whole different challenge that I didn't really want to embark at that point in my life. But so I went to LaSalle University, which actually brought me to Philadelphia and where we're at right now. But went there for mass media communications and just aspired to be a news reporter. I was super involved with their TV station. So actually my work study job, I worked at the TV station, programming the station. I started our own show there back, I don't know, like 10 years ago at this point.
Wow.
It was me and three other students. We started LTV News. It was a bi-weekly news program. And it gave me like really like exceptional experience. Like thinking back on my college years, I think that doing the clubs and being as involved with the TV station was like what I remember most and what I learned the most. It was like that really applicable on the job training without being on the job. And so after school, long story short, I fulfilled that dream. I became a news reporter. So I worked for a CBS affiliate down in West Virginia for a very short period of time. I quickly learned that it just wasn't something that I wanted to pursue for my whole life. There's a lot of things that are involved in TV, very little pay. It's very high stress. It was also, you could go anywhere in the world, which is awesome, but it's also really challenging when you're just trying to navigate life. You're 22 years old, you're living by yourself, you're 6 hours away from home. So after all that was kind of said and done, I moved home. And home is like Atlantic City, New Jersey area. As you know, we love New Jersey. But one amazing thing about it is that they have casinos there.
Yep.
And so the casinos provide a lot of job opportunities for the people of South Jersey. And a family friend was working at the Golden Nugget, which is one of the casinos on the marina. And they were hiring for a public relations advertising seasonal coordinator. And I was like, that sounds cool. Like it's seasonal. If I hate it, it's no big deal. And I had no job. I just moved home because I was kind of miserable and was like, we'll figure this one out. And so I went in, I applied for the job. I got the job and kind of the rest is history from there. That was like my first job in marketing. I really, really liked it. It was a lot of the skills and the lessons and the things that I was passionate about from the TV world, but without the daily stress of being on TV and meeting those tight deadlines. I was allowed to have a little bit more creative freedom. And that's also where I started to explore social media marketing. So it wasn't really part of my job, but I just really liked it. So I would volunteer a lot of my extra time to help out the social media manager and go on different recordings with her or do stories around the building or whatever. So it was kind of just like me finding a passion, being like, I think this is fun. I think this is what I want to pursue with my career, and just saying like, I'm going to expand my role and do it anyway. And I've been in marketing ever since. I've never looked back.
That is so fun. Like if you're not from New Jersey, the story of Atlantic City is one of like amazing highs and very tough lows. And just knowing kind of when this timeline was, this is kind of one of the tougher times in Atlantic City's history. But what led you into the mortgage industry.
Speaking of the tougher times in the casino world, I was eventually laid off from that job. They were just cutting down. It's just, part of the process. And I was just applying. I was applying. I knew I kind of wanted to go back into Philly. I also was kind of on the cusp of like wanting more. Like in that role, I think I had outgrown it. I had outpaced it. And I was ready to like really start my career as something a little bit more. I wanted to be responsible for more, basically. And so I was kind of like, it ended up being a perfect problem that fell into my lap. It was also the beginning of summer. I learned how to golf. I did a lot of boating with my dad. He's retired. And so I just got to LinkedIn. And I was just applying for all of these different jobs. And a LinkedIn recruiter actually sought me out for a PR job at AIM, the Association of Independent Mortgage Experts. And I was like, whatever, it's not really what I want, but I'm unemployed. I'll take the call. And so after I spoke with her, I kind of like told her more about what I was looking for. And she was like, well, I actually think that this company is also hiring for a social media coordinator. Would you be interested in that? And I was like, yeah, I would be more interested in that. So I went in for the job interview in the city and I loved the space. The space was super cool. If you guys, any of you watching have ever been to AIM, it's like a very open concept, or it was at the time, very open concept, super modern. Like it was just so cool. Like I was like 23 years old being like, this is my start in the big city. Like this is a career job. It was so awesome. And then I got the job right on the spot, which was even cooler. And so I just started commuting from South Jersey to the city every single day. This was right before COVID happened.
Wow.
But I loved it. Like I didn't know what a mortgage was at all. Pretty sure my first day of work, I was like, what is a mortgage? Like, do we help with like, if people want to get a loan out for like a boat, like, is that our trade? And they were like, no. So I had to learn like literally everything, but it was also exactly the challenge I was looking for at that time in my life. I was so hungry. I was so ready to start my career. And this was just an opportunity to like learn as much as I could, really make a name for myself. Cause like I was living my like modern adult, like dreams basically at that point. Like I was really ready to tackle the world. So it was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, and this was an environment, like just looking back, that was like super fast paced. And if you wanted to take on more, if you wanted to do more, like first, a lot of work was already going to be on your plate, but the more that you wanted, the more work was going to come your way. And I think like looking back on that time, one of the things that stood out about Corie was like, she had a insatiable hunger for work and for learning and for being involved and really for like searching for the why behind everything. Like that was always something that stood out to me, was that she was curious, like super curious about why AIM, why are brokers better? Why are we doing what we're doing? Why do we do the events that we do? And that always stood out to me. So you were there for a couple of years. What were some of your most memorable experiences?
Oh my gosh, so many. So I actually started the weekend you guys got back from AIM Fuse with Gary Vee. So I wasn't at that one, or else that definitely would have made the list. But I was there at the very start of Broker to Broker. So that was that's engraved in my memory forever. Just like the launch of that podcast and like looking back and seeing where it's at now. It's like so many seasons and hundreds of episodes deep. And honestly, being able to sit in the room and shadow the behind the scenes of those video recordings was so fruitful for me, because I actually heard the stories of true brokers. So like as a new person coming into this industry, knowing absolutely nothing, what better way to learn about the industry than from people who are literally sharing their stories of how they got started and how they were building their business. So that was really game changing for me. AIM Activate was another one that really stuck out to me. That was our first huge event. We actually created WMN at that event. So if anyone listening is familiar with the Women's Mortgage Network, that was created there.
That was like ground zero.
It was so ground zero. It was like, that was really the pillar that kind of like created that, I'll call that community, that anything. But that event just in general was more marketing related. So I thought it was a really fun. There was a lot of very engaging and active sessions. There was breakout rooms. You were doing like, projects on stage with like live panelists and website makeovers. And it was my first time really traveling with an organization to like do something. So like I felt important, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's like really big for people that are getting started in their career. Like they needed me to be there because I had an actual role to fill. So I didn't take that lightly. I went with like a very well thought out plan. I knew what I was going to post, where I was going to be at every minute. I had my walkie talkie in for support from the team. And so it was just really awesome to one, throw an event that was that large scale. There was like thousands of people
Yeah.
there. The
Huge.
presentation was amazing. The signage was amazing. So like really seeing all of your hard work come to life
Yeah.
was huge. But then also being able to meet the members of the community. We used to do like meet the team. I used to
Yeah.
do
Yeah. Yeah.
that. That's the one thing that sticks out to me too. Is like we would have people come in and we would go around the room and introduce ourselves and learn about them. But it was kind of like meet the team at a much larger scale.
Yeah.
I mean, it's invaluable because the relationships that I created at that event, I still have today,
Yeah.
celebrating birthdays or milestones or whatever. And so that AIM, the best thing that came out of AIM for me was a lot of things, but the relationships,
Yeah.
truly. Like we were so involved with the broker community that when I came to UMortgage, I had already had a lot of connections. I had
Yeah.
already had a lot of friends. Like I kind of knew the talk. I understood things. Yes, I had a lot to learn still. Even today, I have so much to learn, but I really felt like working at AIM should be a prerequisite for anyone who came to UMortgage just because it gives you so much foundational knowledge of the broker channel, who the brokers are, what they care about, and just really getting to know them on a personal level.
Yeah. And I think even looking back at that, I mean, first of all, like AIM Activate, I always thought was our best event ever. I
It was
really
so fun.
did. It was like there was bigger events when it came to like headcount or venues or speaker list, but this was the best produced event that we did. The content was spectacular. The segments were just so engaging. The speakers were so dialed in. I'm really, really proud of that event. But going back to what Corie was saying about like the prerequisite of U Mortgage, I think the biggest thing for us is like AIM was sort of like ground zero for a lot of the broker evolution. You know, Arrive came out of AIM, Brokers Are Better came out of AIM. You know, a lot of the lender marketplace that now exists were attracted during those early years. And a lot of that work came from Corie. You know, Corie and the marketing people, like they built that community. They built the marketing that attracted that community. They helped build the brand of AIM. So when you think about, you know, you transitioning out of AIM and then coming into team leader role and then eventually a leadership role, how has that journey been? And how did AIM set you up for this journey?
Yeah, well, I remember when you first were like, "Let's go to dinner. Let's talk about this opportunity." I was like, "He's out of his mind. Like, does he have the right person? Like, are you sure it's me?" Because, like, let me set the stage for you. Like, I had only ever oversaw one person for like a short period of time, like a matter of months. Like, I was in no position to be like building or leading a team. And I'm like, Anthony, you got the right person here? Like, are you sure about that? So imposter syndrome to the absolute max. I mean, even today I still have it, but I really struggled with it early in my U Mortgage days for sure. But even going back past AIM, back to like my TV days, I really think that a lot of those foundational skills is what set me up for success today because of how fast paced that industry was, because of how much you had to own every single day. Like I was responsible for the entire thing, like getting the story, finding all the speakers, interviewing them, getting both sides, having it ready for the news, putting it on the web, sharing it on social. Like that was a daily job for me.
Yeah.
So
That
it
was like
was
in some places, that's like 10 jobs.
exactly. And so it was a super heavy lift, but it became the norm for
Yeah.
me. So then I do accredit a lot of that to the curiosity and to my ability to take on more and want more for my own career as I stepped into my role at AIM and then as I kind of came to U Mortgage too. So it's been extremely rewarding. I think my favorite part of my story at U Mortgage is building the team. Like I truly find so much joy in working with people, training people, helping them learn, helping them grow, seeing them succeed, seeing them, get promoted or take on new challenges. And so I don't think I realized how much I would like the leadership side of my job when the opportunity was first presented, because I'm extremely a doer as well. Like I'm very in the weeds. Even today, I'm still doing a lot of things because I like to, like I
Yeah.
have to, but I also really enjoy it. And I think it keeps me sharp. And so I see that a lot too with like even our branch managers, like the ones who stay producing, the ones who are involved and actually doing the loans, like they end up being better leaders. They end up producing more because they get it. And I never want to be the person who doesn't get it because I'm too far detached from it. So I think basically all of my life, like it sounds so cliche, but everything happens for a reason. All of these like milestones in my life, all these like mini journeys that I've taken have really compounded to who I am because I am curious. I am hardworking. I like to do a lot of things. I like to be involved in a lot of conversations. I'm extremely reliable. Like I love building the team. I love getting feedback from the team. I love giving back to the team. And so I think like just these various pieces of my life have kind of come together and created what this is today. But we have so much more to do. And I always think about that too, is like, where are we going to go to next?
Yeah. That's, I mean, as Steve Jobs says, like, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. And I think like that story of like, when you were doing the journalist chapter,
Hmm.
whatever you thought at the time versus what you think today is very different. It's like back then, it's like you're working your butt off. You're in your early 20s. You're probably like, wait, my friends aren't working this hard. They have their weekends, whatever. But then look forward, it's like that taught you urgency. That taught you pace. That taught you systemization to be able to keep up with all those tasks.
Yeah.
And I think that's like one of the things that like we see a lot of a missed like mindset shift that, a lot of people don't have, which is like when you're in it, just thinking it sucks when it's like, man, like who is the person that is going to evolve out of this process? Like, what am I going to be capable of next? And Corie, every single stage of your career, like you were prepared, even if you didn't think so at the time, for what was next
Yeah.
because you did the last thing so well. So I guess for you now in, this leadership role, you're involved in a lot of different things. Tell everybody like, what are your responsibilities?
Oh my God. All right. Well, how much time
We
do we
only
have
have
left?
a short period of time, so I think if
Yeah.
consolidate it
Yeah,
down.
yeah. On paper, it's marketing, but it's really so much more than marketing. I mean, at UMortgage, just we partner a lot with the sales team. So sales training is a huge piece of that. Through our daily sales huddles that we have twice a week, we offer live support. We offer mortgage manual training. We have a sales development cohort that I was able to stand up with a few other people at UMortgage. So training is really, really critical to that. That also comes with culture and community. So when people go and they learn from people, they can communicate with each other, they ask questions, they build relationships, they role play, they talk about, their experiences, they get feedback. So culture is a huge thing of that, whether that be in-person events, virtual events, or just, hanging out through the mortgage walls or halls on the digital. Another key part of that is really just business operations. So I'm heavily involved in, making sure that things with onboarding are working and the experience of things is going as planned. It never does, but we're working to make it better every day. But yeah, that includes like journeys and workflows of when certain things are going to happen to trigger different events from happening. So if, a mortgage broker comes to UMortgage and they need to transfer their license, what happens in between their transfer process? How soon can we get their system set up, and what trainings can we get them acclimated to so that when they do start originating, they're good to go. So there's a lot of business operations that goes on behind the scenes of that too. And then of course the marketing side, in addition to the training and all that fun stuff, you can think of your traditional marketing like digital marketing, organic and paid. I'm heavily within the paid universe right now. Anything related to our landing pages or, Tempo even, which is our proprietary tech. I'm not involved in the creation of the technology, but on the interface of the technology and the things that kind of bake into Tempo, including our marketing library and some of that other stuff. So I got my hands in a lot of different pots here. But it's all for good because the more that you're involved in it, you see how it connects and it really does create this ecosystem. So I would say the only thing I probably haven't done at UMortgage is process a loan.
And I think all that can go to like deep knowledge. Like Corie has deep knowledge of our business. And when I think of, our core values, when I think of experience is everything, create strong communities, get better every day. These are things like Corie comes to mind, and you just heard in her description, experience of the onboarding process in the trainings that we're doing. And the real goal here is how do we connect all these things in a synergistic way so that the loan officer can grow their business and that we are so interconnected as a company that the processes perform at a level that client experience is exceptional. The team member synergy is exceptional. The outcomes are great. It's a work in progress, but Corie's got her hands in all of those things for a reason. And the vision is those things are all going to come together one day to create this incredible ecosystem. So for you, what fulfills you? What gives you joy within your work? And also outside of work?
Results. I love seeing things come through the finish line. I love to get shit done. Excuse my language, but there's nothing better than like seeing a project that you worked really hard on come to fruition, or to even see the outcomes of those things happen. So you work really hard on digital ads. How many leads did it produce? You worked really hard on an event. How was the experience? What did it look like? What was the outcome of it? And so seeing those things happen at the end of the day is like, I hate ideas that don't execute. You need the execution, or it's just an idea. It's never like a goal or an outcome. Outside of work, I am happily engaged. I get married. Thank you. I get married this September. We also just ran a half marathon as a tempo team, TMP team, with some of my coworkers here back in April. Never thought that I would do that, but somehow Anthony also signed me up for the Philly half marathon. So it looks like I'll be doing that again in November. So yeah, working out, living an active lifestyle. My friends are, having kids nowadays. So I'm at that point of my life. So I'm in my auntie era, if you will. And I enjoy reading. Well, actually, I don't enjoy reading. I enjoy listening to audiobooks. Let me be clear on that one. Just to continue, learning. I love learning, whether it be leadership, whether it be marketing, whether it be whatever it is. There's always somewhere that you can learn, somewhere that you can get better. And so kind of how I spend my free time. I also love going out to dinner.
All right. So if anybody wants to send something to Corie for all of her hard work, gift card would be nice.
Yes, thank you.
So we got a couple more for you. One would be for everybody out there that's listening, all of our team members. I always like to ask like a career advice kind of, tip. So for you, looking back at your journey, hey, I was a seasonal marketing team member for, casino, got laid off, setback. Then you come into an unknown role in an unknown industry in an unknown time with COVID, power through, learn a lot. Then you come into your first leadership opportunity, whirlwind experience there, open new doors, try new things, do new things. Looking at that journey and looking back to the person that maybe is you at the beginning of the journey, what advice do you have for them in their career?
So there's a saying at LaSalle, specifically LaSalle Communications. It's on the wall. It says, think, do. And I really love that, because I think a lot of times where I have to motivate certain people, or where I see setbacks in other people's careers, is that they just do. They're just told to do something and they're like, all right, I did it. I checked the box. But they're not asking the questions. They're not thinking like, is this the best thing? Like, how can I make this better? Why am I actually doing this? And so I think it does go back to that curiosity of like, learn through the process of doing, or learn even before doing, but you also have to execute. So learn through the process of doing, because it will make your decision-making so much better. It will actually give you the ability to make decisions, because if you're just doing, you're making other people's decisions, and you're not really ever going to flourish. You're not going to be able to make your own decisions because you don't have enough understanding of the thing that you're doing or the thing that you're executing. So always ask the questions, always be curious. The other thing too is don't be afraid to fail, because realistically, and fortunately for me, I'm not doing brain surgery, right? Like if I mess up, yeah, that sucks. That's pretty bad. Like I should have done better. But at the end of the day, the world's going to keep spinning. Everyone's going to be fine. There's really not that many terrible things that are going to happen from a small mess up. But what's going to give me, what I'm going to get back in return is so much more profound, because I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to learn what to do again, what not to do again. I'm going to say, okay, that was cool. We should replicate that. And maybe let's just never do that piece of that puzzle again. But if you don't try, you never know. And so I do think one of the cool things about my career experience is that I was potentially put in positions before I was ready for them, right? But what that gave me was the ability to figure things out, but also to be a little naive in figuring those things out. So I had no shame. Like I literally had no shame in trying. I had no shame in asking questions. Even in my news days, I needed my story by 3:00. So I would call anyone that I needed to call a million times. And I was told that I was persistent. And I was like, wow, thank you. Like that is a compliment. I will take that as a compliment. So having those characteristics of like just trying, just learning, seeing what the outcome is, and then adjusting based off of that, that's invaluable experience that you're getting hands-on in your workforce. So don't just do, think as a part of that, be curious and test, try different things because you might be surprised at what you learn.
Yeah, I think that's extremely good advice, and I could not have said it better. If that is the only thing you get out of this one, half-hour interview, it's applicable to everybody. It's applicable to everybody in every role at every stage of their career. Sometimes we get lost in the sauce, and sometimes we just get in that doing that, Corie just described. And I can tell you that, like, this kind of goes to our core value: relationships, not transactions. People think about that only in forms of human relationships. I really think about it in forms of like the doing is like, do you have a relationship with the processes and the pieces of the process and the tasks in your process to a point that you care about how they work together, about how the people that are, responsible for some of those pieces are doing them, and how they create the outcome? Or are you just kind of transactionally just letting it, go through the motions? Are you going through the motions? And Corie is just somebody that doesn't go through the motions. She cares a lot about her work and the people that she works with. So last question here for you is, of our core values, which one resonates with you the most and why?
It's always get better every day. I feel like that's the cop out answer, but it's just true. I've answered this question many a times, and I'm trying to change my answer, but like it's just the one I keep coming back to because I truly do believe in it. Like if you're going to work, if you're doing your job, if you're curious about your job, if you care about the things that you're doing, you care about the people you're working with, it's inevitable. It's an inevitable outcome because you want to be better, not only for yourself, but for the people around you. And I think that what you just described too, of like those characteristics that some people you have to experience to truly know, is like you can't really be taught or teach those. Like you need to experience them yourself, and you need to go through the motions of wanting that sort of change in yourself for it to actually happen. And I think the people that I see have that in common have the get better everyday spirit. They want to be better. They see areas of opportunity for themselves, but they also see areas of opportunity for the organization. So they're not afraid to spread their wings a little further. Like they're not stuck in their 2x4 of like, this is my job and I'm only going to do my job and what I'm told to do. Like that's not how we get better. Like we need you. We need you. Like you're smart. You're here for a reason. Like think, give feedback. What are you seeing that somebody else isn't seeing? And I think that when other people start to care as much as you do, it's just an inevitable outcome that processes will improve, that people will connect better and deeper and stronger, and that the outcome will be much more enjoyable. But it will also truly be better at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think like that kind of goes to like what we've both learned in our experiences about like what's the best way to learn. And like for me, the best way to learn is through experience and like immersing myself in the minutia. And like I've got to be honest with you, there was times when we were at AIM and we were times when we were at UMortgage where it's like I felt like I was in way over my head. And the only way I could get out of that was immersing myself in reading more books, talking to people that were where I wanted to be or that I felt had the experience that could help me learn and close the gap, and then just living in the doing at the highest level. So this is a very special session. If you don't know Corie, please friend her on social media. She's a huge part of our company. She's a huge part of how we got where we are and where we're going to be going as a team. Thank you, Corie Meredith.
Thank you for having me, I should say.